ever get that feeling?
Yeah.
You've been praying and praying for these feelings to just go away.
Yeah.
But they just won't budge. It's like they're stuck on repeat. And you're just left there kind of wondering, what's the deal, God? It's confusing.
Yeah.
It's frustrating. Even a little disheartening sometimes.
Right. It's definitely a struggle that many people face.
Yeah.
You know, wrestling with these persistent feelings for someone, even when they're really trying to move on.
It can make you feel like you're in this like tug of war between your heart and your faith, right?
Yeah.
But what if these feelings that are lingering aren't actually a sign that you're doing something wrong?
Right.
What if there's a deeper reason that God might be allowing them to stick around?
That is exactly what we're diving into today. We're going to be exploring 8 potential reasons why those feelings might not be fading
Okay.
as quickly as you'd like. And trust me, it's not about judging or offering some quick fix. It's about gaining a fresh perspective and understanding what God might be doing in your life through this whole experience.
Okay, awesome. So reason number 1 is right person, wrong time. I feel like this one's a classic for a reason, right? I mean, think about Jacob in the Bible. Head over heels for Rachel, works for 7 years just to marry her, only to be tricked into marrying her sister Leah first.
Oh, man.
Talk about a test of patience.
That's a long time.
Right.
Yeah, it really highlights that concept of God's timing. Sometimes things just aren't aligned yet, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the right time for a relationship with this particular person, or maybe there's some personal growth that needs to happen first. Sometimes external circumstances need to shift before a relationship can really flourish.
Yeah.
The point is, there's a bigger picture at play here that we might not fully grasp in the moment.
So how do we know if we're in that waiting room phase? Are there any signs we can look for to kind of help us figure out if it's just a matter of timing?
Well, you know, it's not always easy to discern, and it often requires us to really take a deeper dive into ourselves and our relationship with God.
Yeah.
Prayer's a powerful tool here, as is reflecting on Scripture and seeking out wise counsel from, trusted mentors or spiritual leaders. It's about asking God for clarity, for guidance, and for the patience to trust His timing.
Yeah.
Even when it feels confusing or frustrating.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
So it's like we need to shift our focus from trying to control the situation to surrendering to God's plan.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that God has a purpose for this season in your life, even if it doesn't involve a romantic relationship with this specific person right now.
Okay, I love that. Let's move on to reason number 2, emotional boot camp. This one sounds kind of intense.
It can be.
Yeah.
It can feel that way sometimes, especially when we're in the midst of these strong emotions that we'd rather just avoid, right? But the truth is that these challenging feelings can actually be opportunities for tremendous growth. Think of it like exercise for your emotional muscles.
I like that.
Just like physical training helps us build strength and endurance. Going through difficult emotional experiences can help us develop resilience, empathy, and a deeper understanding of ourselves.
So instead of trying to suppress or run away from these feelings, we should actually lean into them and see what we can learn.
Exactly. Think about the story of Hannah in the Bible.
Okay.
She longed for a child, but she faced years of infertility. Her heartache was so deep, but she didn't shy away from it. She poured out her soul to God in prayer, expressing her pain, her longing, her trust in Him. And ultimately, God answered her prayer in His perfect timing.
It's so powerful. It reminds me of Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice.
Oh, yeah.
Her feelings for Mr. Darcy were anything but simple.
Oh, no.
She experienced a whole roller coaster of emotions. Pride, prejudice, misunderstanding, even anger. But through it all, she learned so much about herself, about love, and about the importance of looking beyond surface appearances.
It's a great example. It's like those emotional challenges forced her to confront her own biases and ultimately led to a much deeper, more authentic connection with Darcy. And that's really what emotional boot camp is all about. It's about allowing those difficult feelings to refine us, to teach us valuable lessons, and to prepare us for the kind of love that lasts.
Okay, I'm starting to see how these lingering feelings might actually be blessings in disguise.
Yeah.
So what's reason number 3?
Reason number 3 is called training for a mystery relationship.
Ooh, that sounds intriguing.
It is.
Oh.
What if those persistent feelings aren't actually about this particular person at all, but rather about preparing you for a future relationship that you haven't even met yet?
Wait, what? So you mean like These feelings are a dress rehearsal for the real deal?
Exactly. Think of it like this. You've been through a lot emotionally, right? You've experienced heartbreak, longing, maybe even unrequited love. All of these experiences, while they've been painful, have shaped you, taught you valuable lessons, and helped you grow as a person. It's like you've been unknowingly accumulating this emotional wisdom and resilience that's going to serve you so well in a future relationship.
So God might be using these current feelings to equip me for a love story that's even better than I can imagine right now.
Precisely. It's like he's saying, trust me, I'm working behind the scenes to prepare you for something amazing. It's about surrendering to his plan.
Okay.
And believing that he has your best interests at heart, even when it doesn't feel like it.
That's a comforting thought. It kind of takes the pressure off trying to force things to happen.
Right.
And just allows us to focus on trusting God's timing and his plan.
Absolutely. And sometimes that means embracing the present moment, learning from our experiences, and allowing God to work in us, even through the messy, confusing parts.
Okay, I'm definitely feeling more hopeful about all of this.
Okay.
So what's reason number 4?
Reason number 4 is the call to action. Sometimes those lingering feelings aren't just there to be felt.
Right.
They're actually a divine nudge to actually do something. It's like God is saying, hey, pay attention. There's something here that requires your action.
Interesting. So it's not just about passively waiting, but about actively responding to these feelings.
Right.
In a way that honors God and aligns with his purpose.
Exactly. Think about the story of Ruth in the Bible. She was a widow who, out of love and loyalty to her mother-in-law, Naomi, traveled to a foreign land and worked tirelessly to provide for them both. Her feelings of compassion and devotion motivated her to take action. And ultimately, those actions led her to this beautiful love story with Boaz. And a place in the lineage of Jesus.
That's such a powerful example. So how do we know if these feelings are prompting us to take action? Like, what kind of action are we even talking about here?
Well, it's about paying attention to those inner nudges.
Okay.
You know, those whispers in your heart that are guiding you towards something. It could be having an honest conversation with the person you have feelings for, setting healthy boundaries, or seeking wise counsel from a trusted friend or mentor. It could even involve making changes in your own life that will bring you closer to God and his purpose for you.
So it's not necessarily about pursuing a romantic relationship.
Right.
But about responding to those feelings in a way that leads to growth, clarity, and a deeper connection with God.
Right. Precisely. It's about recognizing that those feelings might be a catalyst for some really positive change in your life.
Yeah.
Even if it doesn't lead to the outcome you initially expected.
Okay, that's a great perspective shift. Instead of getting stuck in that, like, why won't these feelings go away? Cycle, we can ask, what is God calling me to do through this experience? That's empowering.
It is. It's about taking ownership of your emotional journey and trusting that God is using every experience, even the challenging ones, to shape you into the person you're meant to be.
All right, that's 4 reasons down. I'm already feeling so much more enlightened about all of this. What's the next reason on our list?
Well, the next one might be a little tougher to hear, but it's important to acknowledge. It's called a longer goodbye. Sometimes those feelings just don't disappear overnight. It's like a wound that takes time to heal. And God might be allowing that healing process to unfold at its own pace.
I can see how that would be tough, especially when you're praying for those feelings to vanish and it feels like God's not listening.
It's definitely not easy, but think about it this way. When you break a bone, it takes time for the bone to knit back together, right? You can't rush the healing process. It's the same with emotional healing. There are layers to unpack, lessons to learn, and a process of letting go that can't be forced.
So it's more like a dimmer switch than a light switch.
Yeah.
It's like those feelings might gradually fade over time.
Exactly.
As we surrender them to God and allow him to work in our hearts.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that healing takes time. And God might be working behind the scenes in ways we can't fully comprehend.
Okay, that makes sense. But what about those times when it feels like those feelings are just lingering and lingering and lingering? I mean, how long is a longer goodbye anyway?
That's a great question. And honestly, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. It's different for everyone.
Right.
It depends on a variety of factors, including the depth of the feelings, the circumstances surrounding the situation, and our own willingness to surrender those feelings to God and trust his timing.
So patience and trust are key here.
Absolutely. Remember, God sees the bigger picture. He knows what's best for us,
Yeah.
even when we can't see it ourselves.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means allowing us to go through a season of waiting and healing, even when it feels difficult.
Okay. That's reassuring. I'm starting to understand that it's not necessarily about trying to speed up the process,
You're right.
but about learning to trust God's timing and surrendering to his plan.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that those feelings, even the uncomfortable ones, can be part of a larger journey that God is using to shape us, refine us, and ultimately bring us closer to him.
All right, I'm feeling a lot more at peace about this whole longer goodbye concept. So what's next on our list of reasons why God might not be removing those feelings?
The next reason is trusting beyond feelings.
Okay.
Sometimes those persistent feelings are less about the other person and more about testing and strengthening our faith in God.
Oh,
It's like he's saying, do you trust me even when your emotions are screaming something different?
oh, that's deep. It reminds me of the story of Abraham in the Bible. He was commanded by God to sacrifice his son, Isaac.
Right.
Talk about a test of faith. I can't imagine the conflicting emotions he must have been grappling with.
Exactly. It was a heart-wrenching situation.
Yeah.
His love for his son was immense, but his faith in God was even greater. He chose to obey God's command, even though it went against all of his natural inclinations and feelings. And ultimately, God intervened at the last moment, providing a ram as a sacrifice in Isaac's place.
That story always blows my mind. It shows that sometimes trusting God means going against what our emotions are telling us, even when it feels incredibly difficult.
Exactly. And the beautiful thing is that when we choose to trust God, even when it doesn't make sense, he never lets us down. He always provides a way, even if it's not the way we expected.
So how do we apply this principle to our own lives when we're struggling with persistent feelings for someone? How do we trust God when our emotions are telling us to do something else entirely?
I think it starts with acknowledging that our feelings, while they're valid, aren't always the best guide for our actions. Sometimes our emotions can cloud our judgment and lead us down paths that aren't in our best interests. It's about recognizing that God's plan for our lives is far greater than anything we can comprehend on our own, and that sometimes his plan requires us to surrender our own desires and just trust in his wisdom.
So it's about shifting our focus from what I feel to what God knows.
Exactly. It's about saying, God, I trust you even when I don't understand. I surrender my heart to you, and I believe that you are working all things together for my good, even when it doesn't feel like it.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this challenging experience could actually be an opportunity to deepen my faith and my relationship with God. It's like a spiritual boot camp, but for our trust muscles.
I love that analogy. It's about pushing past our comfort zones and embracing the discomfort of trusting God, even when it feels scary or uncertain. And you know what? When we do that, we often find that God shows up in amazing ways that we never could have anticipated.
Okay, I'm feeling inspired. So what's next on our list of reasons? This one's called unconditional love in action. That sounds beautiful.
It is.
Okay.
What if those persistent feelings are actually an opportunity to practice unconditional love?
Okay.
Just like God loves us. It's about recognizing that true love isn't always about romantic feelings or reciprocation. It's about choosing to love someone regardless of their actions or how they feel towards us.
Wow, that's a powerful concept.
Yeah.
But how does that apply to our situation? Like, how can we practice unconditional love when we're struggling with, like, unrequited feelings?
I think it starts with letting go of expectations. It's about recognizing that we can't control how someone else feels. And that their feelings, or lack thereof, don't diminish our own worth or value. It's about choosing to love them anyway, even if that love looks different than we initially hoped.
So it's about choosing to bless them, to pray for them, and to wish them well, even if they're not romantically interested in us.
Exactly. It's about recognizing that true love is about desiring what's best for the other person, even if that means stepping back and letting them go. It's about releasing any bitterness or resentment and choosing to forgive both them and ourselves for any hurt that might have been caused.
I can see how that would be incredibly freeing.
It is.
It takes the pressure off trying to force a certain outcome. And allows us to just focus on loving the other person unconditionally, without any strings attached.
Exactly. And you know what's amazing? When we choose to love unconditionally, we often find that our own hearts are healed in the process. It's like we create space for God's love to flow through us and transform us from the inside out.
Okay, that's beautiful. I'm starting to see how this experience, while challenging, can actually be a catalyst for incredible growth and transformation. It's about shifting our perspective
Right.
from what am I getting out of this to how can I use this experience to love others more deeply and authentically.
You're getting it. It's about recognizing that God can use even our most painful experiences
Yeah.
to shape us into more loving, compassionate, and selfless individuals.
All right. I'm feeling so much more at peace about all of this. We've covered 7 reasons so far, and I'm already feeling like I've gained a whole new perspective on these lingering feelings. So what's the final reason on our list?
The final reason might be the most exciting of all. It's called preparing you for purpose. What if those persistent feelings are less about romance
Okay.
and more about God refining you for something bigger, a purpose that extends beyond your current understanding?
Okay. I'm intrigued. Tell me more about this purpose angle.
Okay. Imagine a sculptor meticulously chipping away at a block of marble.
Okay.
He sees the potential for a masterpiece, even though that raw material looks rough and undefined.
Yeah.
Similarly, God might be using these experiences, these feelings that feel so raw and overwhelming to shape you into the person he created you to be.
So instead of focusing on the why, like why these feelings won't go away,
Yeah.
maybe the question's what? Like, what is God trying to teach me through this? What aspects of my character, my faith, my capacity for love are being refined?
That's the exciting part. It's about embracing this journey as an opportunity for growth and discovery, even if it's uncomfortable. It's about trusting that God is working all things together for good, even when we can't see the full picture.
Love that. It's like those plot twists in a good book or movie.
Yes.
They make you question everything.
Right.
But in the end, they reveal a deeper, more meaningful story.
Precisely. And those plot twists often involve the characters facing challenges, making difficult choices,
Yeah.
and ultimately emerging transformed.
Yeah.
They become stronger, wiser, and more resilient because of what they've endured.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. We've explored 8 possible reasons why God might be allowing those feelings to linger. Right person, wrong time, emotional boot camp, training for a mystery relationship, a call to action, a longer goodbye, trusting beyond feelings,
Yeah.
unconditional love in action,
Yeah.
and preparing you for purpose.
That's right. It's crucial to remember that these are just possibilities, not definitive answers. The key is to approach this experience with an open heart, seeking God's guidance and trusting that He's working everything out
Yeah.
for your ultimate good.
Absolutely. It's about embracing this season, even if it's challenging, as a chance to deepen your faith,
Yes.
your understanding of yourself,
Yeah.
and your relationship with God.
And remember, those lingering feelings don't define you. You have the power to choose how you respond to them,
Yes.
to lean into God's grace, and to allow this experience to shape you in positive ways.
So, what does this all mean for you, dear listener? Here's something to ponder as we wrap things up. What if this seemingly difficult situation is actually guiding you toward a love that aligns perfectly with God's plan for your life?
I love it.
A love that's deeper, more fulfilling, and more meaningful than anything you could have imagined.
Remember, God's timing is perfect,
Yes.
even when it feels like it's not. Keep seeking Him, keep trusting His plan, and allow this season to refine you into the extraordinary person He created you to be.
That's beautiful. So, dear listener, as you navigate this complex emotional landscape, remember that you're not alone. God is with you.
Yes.
And He's using every experience, every feeling, every challenge to draw you closer to Him and to prepare you for the incredible things He has planned for your life.
Beautiful.
We'll be back next time to dive into another fascinating topic. Until then, take care and keep seeking truth. It's like we're on this winding road, right? We can't see what's around the bend, but we just have to trust that there's something amazing waiting for us at the destination.
Yeah, and along the way, we're gathering all those experiences and insights and wisdom that are going to prepare us for whatever lies ahead.
Okay, I'm ready for that scenic overlook. But before we get there, I want to circle back to what we've learned so far. So we explored the possibility that those persistent feelings could be a sign of right person, wrong time, a call to emotional boot camp, or even training for a mystery relationship.
Right.
We also talked about the importance of recognizing the call to action, embracing a longer goodbye, trusting beyond feelings, and we even dove into the beauty of unconditional love in action. Wow, That is a lot to unpack.
It is, but I think what's really resonating with me is this idea that those feelings, even when they're uncomfortable or confusing, they're not meant to be ignored or suppressed, you know?
Yeah.
They're actually invitations to grow, to learn, and to deepen our relationship with God.
I love that. It's like we're being given these opportunities to actually refine our character,
Yeah.
our faith, our understanding of love.
Exactly. And that brings us to that final reason we're exploring today: preparing you for purpose.
Okay.
What if those persistent feelings are less about romance and more about God actually shaping and molding you for something truly extraordinary, a purpose that might even extend beyond this lifetime?
Okay, I'm all ears. This purpose angle has me really curious.
Okay, think about the biblical story of Joseph. You know, he faced betrayal, injustice, years of imprisonment. I can't even imagine the emotional turmoil he must have endured.
Right.
But through it all, he remained faithful to God. And ultimately, those experiences, those trials and tribulations, were all part of God's plan to elevate him to a position of power and influence where he could save countless lives, including his own families.
Wow, that is such a powerful reminder that sometimes, the things we perceive as setbacks or obstacles are actually like these divine detours that are leading us towards a greater purpose.
Precisely. And it's not always about achieving some, grand worldly accomplishment. Sometimes our purpose is simply to be a reflection of God's love and grace in the world, to touch the lives of those around us in really meaningful ways.
So it's about recognizing that our lives are part of a much bigger story, one that God is weaving together for His glory and for our ultimate good.
Absolutely. It's about, surrendering our own limited perspective and trusting that God is working all things together for a purpose that we might not fully comprehend right now.
That's a beautiful thought. It takes the pressure off trying to figure everything out on our own.
Right.
And allows us to just rest in the knowledge that, God is in control.
Exactly. And it opens us up to the possibility that those persistent feelings, those experiences that we might be tempted to label as, unwanted or unnecessary, are actually playing a vital role in shaping us for the purpose God has designed for us.
I love that. It's like we're being invited to participate in this divine masterpiece, even if we don't always understand the artist's intentions.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And that's where faith comes in. It's about trusting that God, the master artist, sees the bigger picture and is using every brushstroke, every color, every shade of light and shadow to create something truly beautiful and meaningful.
Okay, I'm feeling so much more at peace about all of this. It's like a weight has been lifted off my shoulders.
I'm so glad to hear that. And I think it's important to remember that this journey is a process. There will be ups and downs, moments of clarity and moments of confusion. But through it all, God is with us. He's guiding us, He's strengthening us, and He's shaping us into the people He created us to be.
So how do we practically apply this, preparing you for purpose concept, to our everyday lives? I mean, it's one thing to grasp the concept intellectually, right? But it's another to actually live it out.
That's a great question. I think it starts with a shift in perspective. Instead of viewing those persistent feelings as a burden or an obstacle, what if we started to see them as opportunities for growth, for learning, for discovering more about ourselves and about God's plan for our lives?
So instead of asking, why won't these feelings go away? We can ask, what is God trying to teach me through this? How is He using this experience to refine me and prepare me for something greater?
Exactly. It's about embracing the journey, even the messy parts, and trusting that God is using every experience, every emotion, every challenge to mold us into the people He created us to be.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this seemingly difficult situation can actually be a catalyst for some incredible transformation, right? It's about shifting our focus from what I want to what God wants.
You got it. And you know what's amazing?
That's that.
When we surrender our own limited desires and align ourselves with God's will, we often find that His plan for our lives is far more beautiful, far more fulfilling, and far more meaningful than anything we could have ever imagined on our own.
All right, I am feeling inspired. So we've explored 8 potential reasons why God might be allowing those feelings to linger. We've talked about right person, wrong time, emotional boot camp, training for a mystery relationship, the call to action, a longer goodbye, trusting beyond feelings, unconditional love in action, and preparing you for purpose. It's been quite a journey.
It has. And I think the key takeaway here is that those feelings, those experiences, even the challenging ones, they're not random or meaningless. They're all part of God's plan to draw us closer to him, to shape us into the people he created us to be, and to prepare us for all the amazing things he has in store for us.
I love that. It's like we're being invited to participate in this grand adventure, one that's filled with like twists and turns and surprises and moments of just breathtaking beauty, right?
It is.
And the best part is we don't have to navigate it alone.
Yep.
God is with us every step of the way.
Absolutely. He's our guide, our comforter, our strength, and our hope. He's cheering us on, whispering words of encouragement, and reminding us that he's got this.
Okay, I'm feeling so much more hopeful and empowered about all of this.
Good.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what final words of wisdom do you have for our listeners who might still be struggling with these persistent feelings?
Remember that you are loved beyond measure. God sees you, he hears you, and he understands your heart. Trust his timing, embrace the journey, and allow this experience to shape you into the extraordinary person he created you to be.
Beautiful. So, dear listener, as you continue to navigate this complex emotional landscape, remember that you are not alone. God is with you, he loves you, and he's cheering you on every step of the way. Keep seeking him.
Yes.
Keep trusting him and keep believing that he has something truly extraordinary in store for you.
He does.
You know, it's like we've been given this beautiful tapestry and we're still trying to figure out the pattern, but we can trust the master weaver. He knows what he's doing.
Right. And each thread, even the ones that seem tangled or out of place, they all have a purpose in that overall design.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, before we get too lost in the metaphor, I want to circle back to something you said earlier about God's plan often being far more beautiful and fulfilling than anything we could imagine on our own.
Yeah.
That's such a hopeful thought.
It really is. You know, think about the story of Esther in the Bible. She was this young Jewish woman who was orphaned and raised by her cousin Mordecai. She never could have imagined that she would become the queen of Persia and play a pivotal role in saving her people from annihilation. But that's exactly what happened because she was willing to step out in faith and trust God's plan, even when it seemed impossible.
Wow, that's incredible. It reminds us that God's ways are not our ways, and that his plans are often far beyond anything we could dream up ourselves.
That's right.
So it's not about trying to force things to happen on our timeline, but about surrendering to God's timing and trusting that he's working all things together for our good.
Absolutely. And that doesn't mean it's always easy. There will be moments of doubt, frustration, even heartache along the way. But the key is to keep our eyes fixed on God, keep trusting his promises, and keep believing that he's leading us towards something truly amazing.
Yeah. Okay, I'm feeling so much more encouraged about all of this.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what final words of wisdom do you have for our listeners who might still be wrestling with these persistent feelings?
You know, just remember that you are not defined by your feelings.
Okay.
You are a beloved child of God, created with a unique purpose and destiny. Don't be afraid to embrace the journey, even the messy parts. Trust God's timing, surrender your heart to him, and just watch in amazement as he unfolds that beautiful plan for your life.
That's beautiful. So, dear listener, as you continue to navigate this complex emotional landscape, just remember that you're not alone. God is with you, he loves you, and he's cheering you on every step of the way. Keep seeking him, keep trusting him, and keep believing that he has something truly extraordinary in store for you. Until next time, keep diving deep.